Welcome back to your final lesson in your professional diploma in digital marketing and SEO. We are all the way at the end of module 4, so a huge congratulations for getting this far. Today we are recapping some of the most important aspects of SEO and just diving into things a little bit deeper on the content side. This is something from Google. They said that our search algorithms are complex math equations that rely on hundreds of variables. And last year alone, we made more than 3,200 changes to our search systems. So if you're interested in getting into the world of SEO, this is what you're in for, or just a snippet of what you're in for. And what we're going to look at today, we are going to start off with SEO algorithms and the quality raters guidelines, followed by keyword research and content, which we did touch on briefly in module 1. Then we will see backlinks, the what is and the how to behind internal, external, etc. Followed by SEO checklist and SEO working with PPC. I think it is very important to know in SEO that the main focus is quality of content, not the technical optimization. And while, of course, that does have, it does contribute to your ranking, and it can get incredibly complex and technical, and there are definitely some SEO geniuses out there, quality of content is the main factor. It is what will make your consumers stay on your site, engage with your content. So those are the things that, in terms of ranking, those are the things that Google and other search engines are mainly looking for. So I want to take you through some SEO tools first so that you can understand more of the how-to of SEO, and also know that none of what I will take you through is possible without the use of these tools. So just keep that in mind as we go through everything. First up is, of course, the Google Search Console. It is a free tool which is widely used in SEO. With the Search Console, you can monitor and report on your website. You can pick up 404 and other errors. So basically, if someone clicks on a link and there's no content there, or it's broken for any reason, the Search Console can pick that up. You can also set up redirects. For example, if you've moved content to another URL, you could direct the old URL to the to the new one, to avoid any error pages coming up and to try and keep the ranking of that page. You can also upload sitemaps, as you know. You can control what parts of your site you want to be indexed by the Google bots or search engine bots. And you can receive warnings for any technical issues with your site. Now, I must point out that this is something that wouldn't be used by necessarily a business owner or manager. It would be something done by an SEO team or a developer team, or someone who understands the technicalities a bit better would ideally be managing this account. Then you have something called RFs, and I hope I'm saying that right. This is very widely used in SEO. It offers you a organic traffic and backlink profile of any site, so not just of your own, and you'll understand more of this as we go through the lesson. There's also a domain authority checker, again, not just for your URL, for other URLs as well. A backlink checker, the broken link checker as well, paid keyword research, and they actually offer a 7-day trial for $7, which is very worth it. Here is another tool. It is called Mangools, and it's not as widely known as the others, but it is still reputable. It offers a backlink analysis, a website analysis, keyword research, search engine results page analysis, rank tracking, and a 10-day free trial. And finally, we have something called SEMrush, SEM, Search Engine Marketing. This is more for technical SEO, but it does offer technical audits, competitive intelligence, not provided or a solution for the not provided aspect. Remember when we were going through analytics, I told you about there are certain keywords, even demographics, that are either not set or not provided. SEMrush is saying that they have a solution for this, so people can actually access that data, and they offer a backlinks audit. So there are 200 ranking factors in SEO. A search engine uses various algorithms and hundreds of ranking factors to determine page relevance and therefore its position on the SERPs. What is important to know is that there are some factors which are effectively out of our control. There's nothing we can do about them, such as the ages of our sites and our domain names. As we never receive comprehensive info on SEO updates and algorithms, no one will actually fully understand it. And I think, as I've probably said before, this is where SEO gets its kind of magical perception. And also, it's important to note here that if anyone ever tells you that they can get you to the first page of results in 3 months or even 6 months, they are lying or too eager or something's amiss, but that is definitely not a given. It's not something that is easy to achieve. Let's talk about algorithms. As much as you might not be managing the SEO aspect of a site, it is good to know about the algorithms that are in place and how they affect a site, as it then becomes a list of things to try and to avoid on your site. If you're aware of this and the potential impact it has or could have on your site, then of course you can make changes and benefit and be on top of things. But firstly, what is an algorithm? It is a process or a set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. Essentially, it's a really fancy, advanced piece of software that a lot of things go by, including SEO. Facebook also uses an algorithm. They are called EdgeRank, as far as I remember. So it is everywhere, not just within SEO. And as I'm sure you've realized by now, in SEO, an algorithm is a large contributing factor that helps determine which content will appear on the SERPs for different queries. Not all algorithm changes are major, as in they shouldn't really have a noticeable effect on your site, but only if it has a good reputation, if it's doing the right things. So first up, we have the core updates, and these are referring to Google's core technology that manages all the algorithms and ranking factors. So there are many core updates. They happen quite frequently, but Google have stated very often that there's nothing specific to fix, as they are broad updates that cover multiple factors. So there's nothing one could actually do about a core update, except for really monitor perhaps for any significant changes in your site. These updates are always announced though. So for example, there was one in September 2019 called the Broad Core Update, and in June 2019 called the Core Update. So they differ slightly, but they are the same in terms of the information that we actually receive about these updates. Then we have good old BERT, which was released in October 2019. BERT stands for Bidirectional Encoder Representations from Transformers. It was considered the biggest update since RankBrain, which you will see just now. And essentially what BERT is that it's Google's neural network-based technique for NLP. It sounds like a mouthful. This is natural language processing. What NLP does is it helps computers understand language more like humans. It gives it context. Things like Google's Knowledge Graph, which was launched in 2012, kind of was the start of this, or at least the advanced version of this. So something like Google's Knowledge Graph and voice search are also systems that use NLP, chatbots as well. Now, this, along with RankBrain, is something that Google has actually said SEOs can't optimize for. How it would impact you would differ, but businesses might see a shift in search terms where they are ranking. As search terms change and as Google processes them differently, a business might find that their results, change slightly and that they're ranking differently for keywords they hadn't really considered before. Then we have Fred, and he was released into the wild in March 2017. This guy was a major update targeting low value content. Google didn't provide specific info. Thanks, guys. Some sites actually lost 50 to 60% of their Google organic traffic overnight. So this is what I mean by major. And also sites that were heavily monetized were also impacted. So what I mean by low value content, we are going to go into it more. That's most of the point of this lesson. Low value is non-original content, duplicated, spammy, clickbaity, all those kinds of things. So sites that were using or overusing that kind of thing were not happy after this update. Then we had the intrusive interstitials update in January 2017. It targeted mobile sites that had intrusive interstitials, so pop-ups that hurt the user experience. There was a minimal impact on rankings, but it is good to know that it is a factor. So in other words, avoid this as much as possible. Then RankBrain, released in October 2015. It was labeled the third most important ranking signal, so pretty intense. It filters search results to give users the most relevant answer to their query. So again, back to that context, back to that start to try and learn the natural language. So NLP, RankBrain was a big catalyst or indicator of that. It uses live AI technology, and it's also now used in almost every search query. In the beginning, I think it was around 1 in 10, but as it progressively got better and better, it's now been used in almost every query. So yes, I think it would be interesting actually for everyone to think back and think about how your search behaviors have changed over the last few years and the kinds of results you've been receiving. They've definitely, for me at least, they've been richer, they've been more relevant for sure, contributing to the fact that no one ever really goes past the first page of the SERPs now. In April 2015, we had a mobile-friendly update, and this was rewarding mobile-friendly sites with a higher rank. This was it made quite a splash in the industry. It was a big update. It impacted all languages around the world. What Google sometimes does is it rolls it out to English specifically before other languages. But in this case, it was all languages. So you see, the importance of being mobile friendly can make the difference of being ahead of a competitor or not. If you have a mobile friendly site, it will improve your rankings. In 2013, there was a big core update. So remember, this is not one that SEOs can really optimize for. It was trying to return more relevant results for more complex search queries. So you can see that this has been a habit and something that has been updated over the years. This update affected 90% of searches globally, and this is also where keyword stuffing was no longer able to get past Google. We've spoken about this before, where people are just putting in keyword after keyword in the back end in their content just to try and get a higher ranking. That used to work, but after this update, it no longer did, which is very good. The animal convention continues with Penguin in April 2012. This was a web spam algorithm update. It focused on link spam and manipulative link building, which is also known as black hat SEO. You might hear about black hat and white hat. So black hat is the stuff you shouldn't be doing, and the white hat is what you should be doing. This will become clearer as we talk about links a little bit later. But just to go into this in a bit more detail so that you understand, this algorithm penalized low quality content. So you could see the pattern here. It became part of Google's core update in 2016. It received a few updates in between that time, but it just became part of the core update as opposed to almost an add-on. The update over time was to rather devalue links from known spam sites, so ignore them, versus penalizing the target site, the site that these spammy links have targeted, which is, I think, a good move. And sites with mostly natural inbound links from relevant web pages got to rise in the SERPs, of course. And finally, we have Panda, which is a major update. I remember when it came out, it being talked about for months, and I was just starting to understand the whole SEO situation. It reduced thin and inexpert material. It targeted content farms, which are sites that put up thousands of links with plagiarized content and used keyword stuffing, so what I mentioned earlier. It meant significant drops in rankings for many sites, and in order to recover the rankings, the content, of course, needed to be improved. An example of a content farm site would be answers.com. Go and have a look if you're not sure. It's essentially just tabs with links and links and links. Like with Penguin, it was added to Google's core tech in 2016, ensuring that low-value content sites are continuously picked up. And that's important to remember. That's why Google can pick up duplicate content, plagiarized, etc., because it has things like this in place. If you want to learn more about all these algorithms, I recommend checking out Backlinko. You can see the name there just on the bottom left. It's run by a man called Brian Dean, and he has been labeled as an SEO genius. We'll cover a bit more on Backlinko in a minute. But I first want to take you through something called the Quality Raters Guidelines. Now, quality raters are actual human beings. They check the quality of websites in conjunction with Google's core technology. It is important to note that just because they may rate a site in the lower region to what Google had, it won't be the final answer. There's definitely core checks and things in place. Now, how these quality raters worked is that there were guidelines set up that they had to follow, and Google recently opened up this huge guide to the public. And what this can be used for is for auditing a site and checking the site's SEO optimization in general. It isn't specific information on ranking factors, but then, of course, following these guidelines would increase your ranking if done correctly. So a big focus is given to something called YMYL, your money or your life. Sounds like something in a movie, but it is in reference to any sites that could impact someone's life or finances. Your money or your life pages are held to a much higher standard by Google, or sites rather. So if a business does fall within these categories, which I'm going to take you through, then it essentially means they'll have a harder job ranking than other sites. There are, however, a lot of sites that fall under this category. So let's go through some categories. First up, we have shopping or financial transactions. I think that makes sense. Anything to do with that would fall under YMYL. Financial information as well. Medical information. Legal services or information. News and current events. Civics, government and law. Groups of people, so this is referring to sites that target groups of people, whether it's by ethnicity or religion, etc., whether it's positive or negative. And then, of course, there is an other category. Diving into the shopping and financial category a little bit, it's important to know that any shopping component on a site, if you have one, then you are part of this category. So highlighting the fact that Google holds these sites to a higher standard, you need to make sure that the site is secure. So it's using HTTPS versus HTTP. It is user-friendly, and of course all the other aspects that we have discussed in your course so far. If we look at other, this can encompass a variety of sites. So just to confirm, it is any site that impacts someone's well-being in life and finance. For example, fitness and nutrition, housing information, choosing a college, finding a job, etc. All of those things fall under the YMYL category. So surprise, surprise, the other thing that is a big stress in the quality raters guidelines is high quality main content, focusing on original and unique content. Along with this, it is very important to fully credit the author of the content on your site, whether it's internal or external. Even if it's internal, you can actually build up some nice internal links there. You put your colleague's name or your employer's name, and then you link to your about page or your company page, and so on. If it is external, then a link to the guest site should be included. So whoever wrote the article or whatever it is for you, I assume, or we would assume, has a website which you would then link to, especially if it has high authority. So it's an authoritative site. But content is not just about words. Quality raters also look at images and videos. If you are using stock images, for example, or a business is using stock images, I hope you guys know that when I'm saying you, I'm actually referring to a business. I'm not assuming that all of you have businesses. It just makes it easier sometimes. But yes, if a site is using stock photos, this could be affecting the ranking as they are not original. They are a copy. So if a site relies on them heavily, it's very wise to relook this because it can have quite an impact on the ranking. So original photos, original videos, original words. We're going to move on to keyword research now. Just briefly, in the previous models, we looked at the Google Keyword Planner, Google Trends as well, answerthepublic.com, forums, for example, Quora and Reddit, related searches for queries. So if you think about when you are searching on a search engine, at the bottom you will see related searches. So that is there. Also Google search and YouTube suggestions. So those auto-completed search queries almost as you start typing out yours. Looking at social platforms for trending hashtags and topics, etc. And then tools or paid tools like BuzzSumo can definitely help with keyword research. Something new that I discovered recently was a recommendation from Brian Dean of Backlinko to use Wikipedia as a resource. And what he said was that you should search on Wiki using a broad but related term to your industry or your business. Go to the table of contents on the page, and then look at the terms used within this to pick up terms you might not have thought of. And I thought that was quite a clever way to look at things. So we have keywords, but we also have something called an LSI keyword, which is a conceptually related term. So related to your main keyword. This is how, or terms that search engines use to understand the content on a page. It gives them that understanding of context so that they can improve the search results. And this is something that SEO people need to focus on. And just to illustrate why, previously, if digital marketing was mentioned a few times on a page, let's say, then Google thought the page was about digital marketing. And this is where the keyword density and stuffing came in, because it was just so easy to manipulate Google into thinking a site or a page was about that topic. But now it has evolved. Google wants to figure out the page's main topic. For example, let's say you published an update on your reaction to the latest SEO changes on your site. Your page is scanned by the search engine bots, and the phrase latest SEO changes in your title and content, which should be there because that's the best SEO practice. This is the first indication that your page is about SEO. But now Google will scan for related keywords, LSI keywords, like algorithm update, rankings, traffic, etc. All the other terms that are generally spoken about when you are discussing or talking about SEO. So it's only then that Google will be confident your page is about SEO if you have those related keywords. So very important, your main keywords and your related keywords. You can't actually think about ranking multiple pages with one of each keyword. It is a combination of different keywords, and you don't need all of your content to rank highly. You need to find out what your top keywords are, the related keywords around that, and then focus on that as opposed to trying to rank for every single thing that is relevant to you. So we're going to talk about using your content, which is referring to links. So the first link is an internal link. And just to recap, those are the links that happen between the pages of your site. So there's no external linking. You're not linking to another website. You are choosing words or sections of your site that would be relevant to other parts of your site and linking those together. So if you want to be able to boost your internal links, which is a factor in SEO ranking, of course, then the thing to do would be to identify the page that you want to boost the most. Has it received the most traffic? Has the engagement been high over the time that you've shared it already? Is it on trend and relevant, unique? All these different things. So you identify that page. Then you would use a tool like what I went through earlier in the lesson to find the pages on your site with the most link authority. And again, that is something that the tools will tell you. You would then, on those pages, link to the page that you want to boost where it makes the most sense. Though it is important to note that links in footers and menus are not as valuable as links that are in the body of content. And then when it comes to ranking or getting that page boosted, it's worth knowing that editorial links, so links to your site as a result of genuine interest, these are given more weight than random links and sites, which makes sense. Then we have external links, and it's important to note that getting a link from any high-ranking pages will not help if it isn't a relevant connection. For example, a car site linking to a cake site, that won't help rankings. Also, anchor text versus elsewhere. Anchor text is a ranking factor, and it's used with internal linking, but when it comes to external links, it can look a bit spammy, so do use it with caution. Rather add the link at the end. For example, you could say source moz.com and then link to that site. When it comes to content for SEO specifically, long content is much preferred and does improve your rankings. If we look at the average content length the top 10 average content lengths in terms of SEO, we can see that they are all over 2,000 words. So the second result is almost at 2,500 words. So not the 300 to kind of 600 limits we had expected or been told to do initially. And this information is from Neil Patel. Then we did cover this in some previous lessons a little bit, but there is specific content that is more likely to be linked to. We have images, infographics, video content, listicles, so articles with bullet points essentially, case studies or research, and guides and ebooks. So attracting external links is very hard to do, especially if you are not an authority site. So a lot of SEO people are continuously actively searching for links to a site to get those external links, and we're going to go through that now. First up, there is something called resource pages, and they are similar to directories that I think we spoke about in the affiliate marketing lesson in this module. And they are sites that give out links related to their topics. They aren't to be confused with content farms. They're not there for that reason. They actually do want to provide value. But the site does need to have some authority to make it valuable. So just reaching out or going to hundreds of different directories is not really going to help. And to find relevant directories, the SEO tools that I mentioned can also be used. Then we have something called email outreach, and that is contacting the sites that you would like to share your content with. All very well and good, Laura, but I don't have their email address, for goodness sake. Well, I have a solution for you. Just hold on. Let us first look at broken link building. It is related, I promise. This is finding broken links on a website around a relevant topic. So this is a way not to just approach that website that you're dying to be on, but to actually contact them with something to offer. So with broken link building, you can achieve this with a tool like RFs. Essentially, you would be finding broken links on a website around a relevant topic to the business, creating content to replace that broken link. So by broken link, we're saying it's not working anymore. There's no content on that page anymore. Then letting the website or the publisher know that the link is broken and offering to replace it with your updated content. So you're getting something out of it and they are as well. Let's not forget that error pages have a negative impact on your ranking. So fixing that problem for them is great. So how you would go about doing this is you would make a list of the top authority sites in your niche. You would then input those URLs into RF's broken link checker tool. So you see there are tools available. You could then view those links and see if you have content, or perhaps you could create content around that topic. If you need more information on the article that was broken, you can actually go to web.archive.org and paste the broken URL. That site essentially caches millions and millions of website pages, so the old versions of them. So you can check out what it did say there. Then, you would find the relevant email address with a tool like hunter.io. So you can find people based on their company, on their name, with a tool like this. You would then contact the person with a well thought out email, and I'll take you through an example. Hi Laura, I read your article on X today and thought it was very insightful. While looking through your website, I noticed that there was a broken link for your article on social media management for e-commerce. I thought I'd take this opportunity to send you my article outlining specific steps e-commerce business owners should follow on social media, and then the link to the article. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and if you think it would be a suitable replacement for the broken article, you are most welcome to use it. So yes, it is a bit not salesy. It's been quite straightforward, but also in a nice way. It's complementing the business. It's saying that you are offering them a service and that you are reputable as well. Because there is so much to remember, let's go through a SEO checklist. For changes in traffic, what you need to be doing is checking your analytics and SEO tools regularly for noticeable drops or increases in traffic. At that point, or to be honest, ideally before, you would check various reputable SEO resources to see if there has been an update. So perhaps that could explain why there has been a drop or an increase in your traffic. You would then also just check on the page level to confirm if the drop or the increase is specific, so specific to a certain page, or overall, because if it's overall, it will rule out different things. If you have made recent changes, then it's worth checking that nothing else was changed. And also, if not, perhaps consider reinstating the previous changes or content and then seeing if that has an impact on SEO. I mean, again, the SEO person would be doing all this. You wouldn't need to worry about it necessarily. Of course, only if you're doing it by yourself, but then it is a bit more manageable. But like I said, it is always good to be well informed. When it comes to content, the main keyword must be in the first 100 to 150 words, as we have covered before. You need to include the keyword in the remaining content, but only where it makes sense. The URLs should also include your keyword. Remember, very important to factor in those LSI keywords. And to be honest, if you're writing an article or an article that is of value and quite lengthy, they should be in there already. Just make sure that you are highlighting all the important ones. When it comes to naming your page or content, it might be an idea to use question title tags. So ask a question. Studies have shown that it produces a higher CTR. It might not be the case and probably isn't the case across all industries, but perhaps give it a test. Ensure that your content is above the fold. And what I mean by that, let's give you an example. I can't tell you how many times I have gone to a website, homepage, and my entire screen is taken up by an image. I can't see anything else that is going on. It's a bit of a turn off for me, and I'm sure it is for many other people as well, especially if the site isn't mobile friendly, or even if it is and it's still taking up the whole screen. So it's making sure that your content is above that section. People shouldn't have to scroll even once to see the start of your content. They should just be able to see it and then, scroll down to read more of it. Don't use clickbait type words or things that can be seen as clickbait. So anything that's over the top, like you can't miss this, guess what we've been up to, this deal is insane, etc. Don't do those kinds of things. And then, of course, user experience. And we have been harping on about this quite a lot, and it is incredibly important. So break your content down into easily consumable chunks, and I'm even referring to just words here. You could use paragraphs, you could use subheadings for new topics or concepts, bullet points and images, just to break it down a bit, make it more easily readable, more interesting to read, etc. Remember to also keep your navigation clear with not too many categories. In the previous lesson, we spoke about the categories and the filters that can be used on a site. Definitely consider that. When it comes to monitoring or overall monitoring and keeping tabs on these different fluctuations, just remember that they might not be from an update. You might see something in your analytics that is alarming, but actually there wasn't an update and it's to do with something else. Perhaps something local happened, something's trending, a link broke. You need to go and check all the steps before just assuming that it is an SEO update. It is a good idea to create a widget on your analytics dashboard with organic traffic, so mobile and desktop, so that you can very easily see, what the traffic is doing on any given day and any date range that you specify. And then one of the best things that you can do is you can follow authoritative SEO sources. Some examples being the Google Webmaster Central blog. Very good idea to keep tabs on that. Neil Patel, also I've used him a lot, spoken about him a lot. He is fantastic, a definite innovator. And then there is also searchengineland.com. I found a lot of valuable information there over the years. And finally, backlinko.com. I really like the way this is broken down. Lots of easy to consume information, so go and have a look. So SEO and PPC are basically oxymorons or opposites of each other, but they can work very well together. Google said that even when advertisers show up as the first organic result, 50% of clicks they get on ads are not replaced by organic clicks when ads are not present. So just to rephrase that a little bit maybe, if you decide to no longer advertise on a keyword because it's too expensive for whatever reason, the traffic won't be replaced by an organic result for your site. It doesn't work like that. Some of it will be, but not all of it. Google is saying 50% of those clicks, you'll just lose them. So SEO and PPC should work together. The great thing about SEO and PPC working together is that you can test the performance of a keyword with PPC before deciding if you should be creating organic content around it. And the reason for this is that it's much faster to get results on PPC versus SEO. As I mentioned, SEO takes time to build up, whereas with PPC, you could just, smash a budget behind it and get results quite quickly. There is, however, a potential issue, and I'm sure there might be a few more. If you are using specific landing pages for PPC, and these start to see a lot of traffic, so obviously traffic, clicks, sharing, etc., then that page might actually start to climb up in the rankings, overtaking your organic pages that were perhaps built for the same objective, but they have different URLs or different content. So if the page is very different, or it only suits specific keywords, and I'm talking about the PPC page here, then this could pose an issue to your SEO strategy. You don't necessarily want your PPC pages to be outranking your specifically crafted for SEO pages, just as your other pages have been specifically crafted for PPC. But yes, businesses deal with this in different ways. Some people have the same pages for both organic and paid media, and others decide which keywords they'll focus their SEO on versus their PPC.